Okay, so today is May the 3rd, 2022, and we are transplanting out our tomato plants. I'm going to show you guys how I do my tomatoes. Might be the wrong way, works for me. So we're about 2 weeks past our last frost date, and I like to wait a couple weeks afterwards just because you never know what the weather's going to do in those 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, there was no green on our trees, and as you can see now, there's green everywhere. So I think it's safe now that we can plant our tomatoes out. I try to look at the weather instead of go by a calendar just to see, and I try to observe and watch what all the plants are doing out in nature before I do a lot of stuff in my garden, just because they seem to know a lot more than just what the calendar says. So now that all the trees are greened out, I feel comfortable putting my tomato plants out. I won't have to worry about putting a frost cover on them. So yeah, I grow 2 varieties of tomatoes. We have been gardening for a very long time. And I'm past the point of experimenting. So I already know what I like and I don't like. I like the Cherokee purple tomatoes and I like the Amish paste tomatoes. I actually can both of them. The Amish paste is sweeter for things like tomato soup. It's not as acidic. The purple Cherokees have a very nice smoky flavor. I actually had some salsa made out of from one of my husband's clients last year, and the salsa was made out of the purple Cherokees, and it was the best salsa that I've ever had. So he also made barbecue sauce that was really good out of it. Today I'm just going to show you what I do whenever I plant my tomatoes. I really don't, really simple what I do. This year I'm going to I've never done this before. I usually just dig my holes and plant my tomatoes, and I will come back and use like a fish emulsion. I don't really make a big deal out of planting. I don't really do a lot of special stuff usually when I plant my tomatoes. We do a combination of the hugelkultur and wood chip gardening. I don't know if you guys can see the mycelium that's in here. This bed is like a true hugelkultur with wood chips on top of it. It has all turned into just dirt. You can see the dirt down in there. And it really just started out as trees and leaves and limbs. So this year, something that I'm gonna do is I've seen this for the last few years, and people will take an egg and they just crack it. If you can see the crack, and they plant it. I guess it's for calcium. And I know eggshells have magnesium in it too. I actually make my own powder out of eggshells. But I was just going to try this on a few this year just to see how it goes. And if the experiment goes good, I'll do it from here on out because we have lots of chicken eggs. But if it doesn't go well, I don't want to mess all of my plants up. So I'm just going to try it on a couple of them this year and see how it goes, and I'll update you guys as the season goes along. Okay, so I have my egg in the hole, and as you can see, I have leaves all the way up my plant. I have little suckers growing on there. I don't know if you can, well, you probably can't see that. I have little suckers growing in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come up here and I'm gonna pinch off all the suckers that I have, which if you see, this is a V right here. I don't know if you can see that little bitty piece of new limb growing in there. That's what a sucker is. And really that's just foliage growth. It doesn't really grow tomatoes. So when you pinch those off and pull them off, you can see right here's another sucker. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull this last stem off. It pulls the energy away from actually growing the tomato. There's a lot of little hairs growing up and down this, and that's gonna grow new roots for us. So all I'm gonna do here is make my hole a tad bit bigger. Oh, there's a couple of rocks in here. I don't pull my plant out. I'm very careful with it. Hang on just a second, baby. And I'm just gonna bury that down in here.
You put an egg in there?
On top of my egg, yep. And
the egg bust.
Yeah, it's supposed to bust. Let's see. Now you see how tall this plant actually is. I'm gonna plant it deeper than, and I'm gonna have my dirt come up to about right here. That way we can have all that new growth of roots, because you want a really good root system. I didn't plant it so deep that my limbs are touching the ground. You don't want that, because then you get issues with disease. So I'm going to plant this in.
Today we planted our tomatoes. We put egg on that side and egg on this, and not egg on this side. We're gonna see what one does better. If they do the same, then good. But if they don't, then good. But if they don't, then bad.
Okay, how'd you do it? How'd you plant it?
We dug the hole. We put them in there. But before we put them in there, we picked the leaves off the bottom, and we just dug holes and put them in there, and then all you gotta do is just put the dirt back in there. We get wood chips, so we have to put our dirt and then we put our wood chips. It's really good.
Why did you have to pick all the leaves off the bottom?
Because if they touch the ground, there's like diseases that they can get, and your tomatoes won't do very good.
Oh, that's true.
So today I just found a weed in the garden. Today we were planting tomatoes in the garden. Today I just found this weed. I'm not gonna pick it because it's dandelion. We can let it sit here, and we can let the seeds blow off, and it can make more. And then when it gets big enough, we are gonna get it and save the roots and make dandelion tea.
Do you like dandelion tea?
It is really good.
We just found a worm. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Worms are really good to find in your garden.
Yep, really good. That means it got good soil, and it's really good. I'm gonna let them go.
And yeah, and they fertilize our soil at the same time.
They do. So we're gonna plant basil beside our tomatoes because it keeps the bugs away, and that one we keep garlic beside our tomatoes, and it also makes it taste better. And here's the basil that we're gonna plant, and here's the other one. So,
okay.
2 basils.
You can plant it.
Okay, and then basil will make tomato sandwiches, and my dad really loves it on there. So we really like basil. Okay.
All right, we have all the tomato planted. We have 8 on each side, so that's 16 per bed. We have 64 tomato plants. I'm kind of experimenting here too. So we have the purple Cherokee in that bed with garlic. We have Amish paste in this bed with garlic. These 2 beds do not have garlic. These 2 beds are not as strong and healthy soil wise as these 2 beds. So we have purple Cherokees here, and we have Amish paste here, and I put basil in each corner of the beds. Had I had more basil germinate, I would have put it more throughout my tomatoes, but I didn't, so there you have it. Because I don't have garlic in between these beds, I planted them a little closer to the center, and they're kind of zigzagged, so they have airflow, so that's in between those two, and it's just zigzagged all the way down. I'll put tomato stakes up here in the next week or so, but my plan is that I'm gonna put beans on the outside edges. So and peas, because I don't have the garlic here, I put these more towards the center. I'm gonna put more beans on the outside, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna fix the nitrogen in the soil, so it will help feed my tomato plants. So as you can see right here, I dug a little trench on the side. Another thing, on every single bed, that way I had a good test, because each of these beds are a little different. Pretty much those two on the end and these two are the same, but they're still a hair bit different. I went ahead, and on the left sides of all the beds there's no egg, and on the right sides there is an egg underneath every single plant, so I can get a fair comparison on how they do. And I also wanted a fair comparison on just having both varieties on the same beds. That way I know if it's the soil, if it's the egg, or however. I do come through and fertilize about every 1 to 2 weeks. I fertilize with a fish emulsion, and I also have worm castings, and I have a liquid mineral, like a liquid like mineral fertilizer, like trace mineral fertilizer, that's what it is. I'll have to look up and show you the brand. I don't remember off the top of my head. But this bed's gonna get some jade beans. Right here, that's gonna get Kamala beans. They're a variety of green bean. And these two beds down here are gonna get purple whole peas. Peas and beans fix the nitrogen the same. I like purple whole peas. My family likes purple whole peas more. I like peas and green beans the same. Not everyone in my family does. So because I can hold more peas in these beds, I'm gonna do purple whole peas around the outside edges of my tomatoes over here. They'll fix the nitrogen. I'll get peas. I like to interplant a lot so I can get more yield out of my beds because I don't have a lot of acreage to plant. I cannot plant in the ground here. I know I have grass here, but as you can see right here, I also have big rocks that come out of the ground. So the surface level of soil right here is enough to grow some grass. Not good enough to plant in. We've dug all these posts up. Believe me, it's just rock. So I have to do raised beds here. I have to build my soil up with whatever free resource that I can get. I did not fill these up with soil. They are literally rotting trees, leaves that we've raked, wood chips that we've gotten for free, compost that we've gotten for free, which is just the broken down wood chips too. So that's what I'm working with here. I try to interplant as much as I can to put back into my soil, and I will update you guys here in a few weeks and show you how everything's doing. All right, my handy dandy helper here is gonna go through, and he's gonna plant a bean every few inches. You probably have to come back and put one in between those. Just go all the way down the bed, putting them that far apart, and you can come back down this way and put one in between all of them, okay? We're gonna use this whole package of beans on this one side of the garden bed. And because the tomatoes are gonna get taller, we'll trellis them up. I don't have to do anything with the garlic until June or July. I can have a kid squeeze between these tomato plants and pick them for me. And then after we pick them, we'll mulch it heavily so that way more weeds don't grow up. Or we may come through and go ahead and put a winter sow of carrots in here. But these tomatoes will get taller I heavily prune my tomatoes so it has good airflow.
Put them in.
It doesn't get disease. And these green beans are just a bush bean. They're not a pole bean. So they'll stay short. So we don't have to dig through all these tomatoes to pick beans. We can just come through the edge and come through every day, every other day or so and pick them. Okay, the kids are going through. They've done the green beans over here. See how we did one row right here. And right here, we're gonna do 2 rows of purple whole peas on this side, on this side, and we'll do, actually, they're cow peas. These will be purple whole peas. I will do 2 rows of purple whole peas right here. And I have another variety called Red Ripper I wanna try. I'm gonna do 2 rows over here. I'm sure they're fine and they're good, but I don't wanna waste this whole bed on those when I know we like the purple holes, because that's what we grew up on. So if we like them, then next year I'll do more of those. But it doesn't take a lot of space if you learn how to plant your plants accordingly and the actual spacing that they need. It doesn't take a lot of space to grow a lot of food. I know these tomato plants probably seem like they're just really crammed in here, but they're really not. They're probably a little closer together than I would like as far as distance this way. But once we get our trellising up, and you see how I prune back my tomato plants, and the amount of tomatoes that are on them, typically, now that I say that, watch, you know, something come through here and wipe it out. Watch a chicken get in here. You'll see that one plant can put off a lot of tomatoes even whenever you prune it back and when you plant them close together. I've actually given them quite a bit of room, so yeah, we're doing 2 rows in these beds.
We have to get them out of the tomatoes planted.
And after that, all we'll have to do is stake these up, and we're, other than fertilizing, which I'll water them too, these beds are done except for harvesting. I won't have to come back in here and really do anything. When I tie up my tomatoes, I like to use cut up t-shirts because it doesn't cut into the stem. What we'll do is we'll rip down some 8-foot boards. This is my plan. Hopefully we can get it done. Is to rip down some 1x4s and just use those as stakes. I would like them 8 foot tall, but if we have boards over there that are shorter, then they'll just have to be shorter. So there we have it.